Welcome back once again to your number one source for information, education, and inspiration on the most underrated career opportunity in business today. I'm going to say the most underrated industry for a business person and entrepreneur today, because that's who we have. We have a businessman, a legend in this space, an innovator in this space, a visionary, someone who built it from the bottom. If you heard the song "Started from the Bottom, Now We Here," he is a living embodiment of this. I want to welcome CEO and president of Branch Hernandez Consulting Services, and I'm a dare say co-founder of Branch Benefits Consulting too. You know, Mr. Aubrey Branch. Mr. Branch, how you doing, sir?
Nice to meet you, sir. So you started saying all these nice things about the president. I thought I was supposed to get off. I thought it was someone else. I was beginning to wonder, like, wait a minute. Thank you, sir. Thank you for that great introduction.
You know, I tell you, sometimes it's hard to see the impact and momentum that you've had, from the first person. But I'll tell you, as someone who has been watching over the past couple of years that I've known you, and even having that opportunity to come and sit and listen to just the wisdom just pour out from you into me and, the other brothers who were there, Kareem and Carlton and Adam, and of course, your son Quincy. Listen, everything I said, I don't even know if that's scratching the surface of how you really could be described.
I don't know, Mr. Powell. I guess from a standpoint, Rod, I told Quincy two things I think I've kept with me, and I think that had me to be successful and keep me making is the HH. Stay hungry, but stay humble.
Yes, sir.
And if I can keep those two things on the back, don't get too big above myself or thinking you all this and all that in the bag of chips, because as much as you say you picked up from me, I picked up from you, young brothers, which I appreciate that, man, what you bring to the table, to even see you coming in the foot, though, because your introduction coming in about, what we're doing being innovators, you coming in back there for us to come back and say, grab somebody and bring somebody else up to the next table, because we didn't have that opportunity. I say myself, I only had a few people that I can go to and have that conversation with when I first got started. So I appreciate the fact to see you young brothers coming up and making it happen, because it's a blessing, man.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Hey, look, I really want to dig into that in this conversation, because I would say that, you're one of the individuals with Mr. Tillman and Denise Lloyd. You guys were kind of taking. I don't know if it was a dirt road, but it may be a gravel road. Just starting to.
I think it was gravel.
It was gravel, so we could start coming down.
Right. Was no blacktop though.
It was no blacktop. It definitely was smooth. And no but I wanted to just take a minute and on this platform, we speak to professionals who are in the space. We also talk to people who are transitioning, into the industry, or maybe even considering transitioning into the industry. And there's so many different market segments that we speak to. I know that you start on the broker side, now on the consultant side. If you could just share a little bit of kind of what you do now in your business and what your days are typically looking like.
Well, at the end of the day, me and my partner Joe is the technical guy. He loves to interpret the contracts, understand that, which I know that's his expertise, ARM, risk management. Mm-hmm. And from my standpoint, Rod, I'm doing what I love best. I love sales. I think we got away from the fact that there's so many emails, texts, and communication like we're doing right now. Yeah. But my communication is face to face, and I think that'll never leave me. I'm old school with that. I believe you still need to put your hand on the pulse of the client, whoever that client may be.
Absolutely.
And if I give any advice to anybody, nothing beats that. I can see technology do everything from a standpoint of advancing, moving forward. But it's one thing about insurance, you still have to touch that client. I mean, some of them gonna go online and try to do this, but they coming back to that broker. We are a resource. We are professional at what we do. And I think that's the key to this whole thing about this business. You cannot lose that face-to-face, contact one-on-one with that individual somewhere along the line during the course of that relationship, breaking bread.
Yes.
things like that. I know some people say play golf. God knows I never, I've been on the golf course one time a year or something like that. So I can't say I was successful because I played golf. No, that was not it,
Yes,
So at the end of the day, my day-to-day is coming in here to make sure that how can I get the next deal done? That's where my joy come from, my peace come from, my adrenaline flow of making the next deal happen. At the end of the day, continue to satisfy customers that may be going through some trials and tests right now and situations. That's basically it. But that's my joy, sales of it. And I don't try to put, some people have used the title, I'm the executive vice president, the blah, blah, blah. And the guy told me one time with Willis one time, he said, Aubrey, I got all these titles behind my name, but at the end of the day, I'm a salesperson. He said, I sell insurance. Just simple as that. So that's where I'm at with that one, man.
Hey, listen, you know what? I'm so glad that you said that because, a lot of times people try to deny or dance around or make other inferences around sales. And the reality is, sales is the most valuable profession that I think exists on this planet because every interaction that you have, every degree of communication is essentially a sale, whether even for someone who is not necessarily entrepreneurial, when they go into that job interview, they're trying to sell themselves. You're trying to get with your spouse, you want to talk to a young lady out there, you're trying to sell, why?
Got it. Time, why right? You should come to me. Right. Not Joe over here.
right. So it's really embedded, and then you get married. You got to do that every single day.
Every day. Don't forget that. Don't forget that.
So, it's something that's embedded really in everything we do. So I'm so glad that you said that, and you said it from your position. It's not like, hey, you've had accomplishments and have done very well in your business, but you're still saying, hey, look, it's about the sale. It's about the sale. And you're right. Technology can't replace it. AI can't replace, just that face-to-face talking, having a conversation. People think that relationships can be formed on social media and things of that nature, but you really don't have any type of emotional component with that person. But when you can get face-to-face, you can look them in the eyes, you can hear what they need. Like I said, solving problems, you can hear what they need. You can speak to that. There's no feeling that compares to that.
And I agree with you on that because the fact that being that it was much easier for me to communicate with you, you were validated. You came here to his office, had a chance to meet with you, had a chance to talk with you. So it made it much easier for me to say, okay, I've never done a podcast in my life. I haven't even done a podcast until you asked me because you validated already. I'm like, okay, I trust you, trust what you're doing, see where you're at. If I didn't know you, have that personal relationship with you, there's no way I'd have told you, nah, not me. You talk to Quincy. I'm not gonna do this thing.
See, I had to sell you to come on the platform.
Hey, you got
the exclusive right here. Okay, we got the exclusive.
I like that. I like that because going back to what you said, it was I've been here 29 years in Las Vegas, and about 35 years ago in New Orleans area. As I told you. I could take, I was working for a sugar refinery, could take a sugar cane and turn it into powdered white sugar, brown sugar, 100-pound, 50-pound, ship it, in barges, do everything with it. I was making more money for a young man than I ever could have made, working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, didn't have time to spend the money. And they decided that they were going to bring in a guy to take my spot. Well, not take my spot, but me to train this guy to be my boss. Wait a minute, I didn't done this all my life, and you're gonna tell me to train him? Well, how can I train him? And I'm college educated, everything. Like, this is not gonna work. Wow. So I did it for about a week. Next thing you know, I'm like, hey man, I'm sorry, I can't do this. I'm moving on. And this guy used to come to my mom's house and collect her insurance money with Western and Southern Life.
Same guy.
Come there every Thursday, sit down, drink my mom coffee, collect the money. And I'm like, wait a minute, what you doing? He talked to me. This guy was white, told me point blank, hey, Aubrey, man, you ought to come do insurance. Man, come on, please, man, Aubrey, come do insurance. Man, I got in this game and never looked back. I took the job, left that job I was on, took that job, went into insurance, and in less than 6 months, I made the $1 million round table. And I'm like, what the heck was I thinking about working that hard?
I want to, okay. I want to come to that because I want to talk about what that looks, especially that early in your career. I want to talk about let me go back before that for a minute though. Let's go way back. Because you were in Louisiana. You grew up in Louisiana, ended up moving to Vegas, and I think that, Quincy's been on the platform and he was telling that story when he was there and coming out there to play ball and such. But I want to go all the way back to you, Aubrey Branch, little Aubrey Branch, 9 years old, 10 years old.
Oh man.
What were you dreaming of being when you grew up at that time?
Seriously, I always wanted to. I saw a guy got burned in the fire, and I was watching the news one day, and he had a briefcase in his hand, and he got burnt in the fire, and he had got on a jet, and they gave him a lot of money because he got burnt in this fire. I can't remember this guy's name or nothing like that, but I saw this, a visual, African American guy, black guy. I'm looking at this guy. First time I ever seen a black guy getting on a private plane back then, and you can imagine, 50 years ago, or whatever you want to call it now. I'm 66. So when I saw this, I'm like, and he had his briefcase in hand, and the only thing I knew then at that time, I wanted to be a businessman. No matter what. I didn't know what business, what kind of business, but I knew I wanted to be a businessman.
Yeah.
And that's where that came from. I knew I didn't want to work for nobody all my life. I wanted to be a businessman. I wanted to portray that, whatever you want to call it, and that's where that came from. And I just kept continuing to steer myself in that direction with my education piece, accounting, business administration, anything I can do to make sure I stay in that business realm. The history was okay, but I didn't want to deal with history. I didn't want to deal with the science. I didn't want to deal with all this, which I know you can get you that to get you to school, but that was not my thing. But when I realized what I really wanted, and now that I think about it, because we had a little joke back in the day when we was in high school, grade school, we say, man, I want a car I can park, but I'll be able to get out 3 blocks down the road. The car's supposed to be that long,
Right.
I'm chauffeuring you around. And I remember these guys, man, how long your car is going to be? And now that I'm thinking about it, because you asked me about it, we used to talk about that in school. Some of the, the women and men that I dealt with young at that time, we used to laugh about it, but I never forgot those type of things. And I kept saying I wanted to be that no matter what. And I don't think it was the idea that I had to have all the cars and the biggest car, but I think at that time that was our joke for ourselves to say how rich you wanted to be at that time, But it wasn't being a super basketball player or baseball player, nothing. Now that I'm thinking about you asked the key question, it was always being a businessman.
Always been a business. Wow. So going through your formative years, going from grade school, middle school, high school, and eventually, into college. What was that journey? Did you have other entrepreneurial endeavors when you were young? Were you into sports? Were you into, other extracurricular activities? What was your journey like, kind of coming up through school into the workforce?
Well, basketball was my journey. I loved the game and played the game and played it well, and had a couple of opportunities to deal with this on the one end and played that game through high school, and always was the coaches, now that I think about it, the coaches and everyone always picked me out as a leader. I didn't understand that I was a leader at that time. I just expect that, hey, they wanted me to do it. Maybe I was the tallest or something like that. I don't know. But at that time, and people would gravitate to you, want to work with you or want to play with you. And I didn't realize that at that time during my younger years, and realized that you had a gift at an early age, but I didn't understand that gift that I was dealing with. But at the end of the day, when I realized that I was grown up in the South and I need to identify, I was always around among my people, and most people wonder why I didn't go to HBCU. The biggest problem I had, I was always on the wrong campus. I was going to UNO, but I was on Hillard's campus, I was on Xavier's campus, I was on Sussex University campus, I was on everybody's campus except for my own campus. And I realized,
except when you had classes.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, Aubrey, you got to go to class, man. I'm like, because I got on my own and had a vehicle at an early age. My dad provided me with that. Had 6 of us siblings, and at the end of the day, I was the oldest on the boy side of it. My sister was older than me, but I realized then that I had to make a statement. And then when I realized that, okay, what are you going to do from here, from that stage of it? coming through and went to the University of New Orleans, I said, all right, I want to see something different. The world got to be much bigger than what it is here in Louisiana. And I had not really been outside my own little bubble in that. And I had an uncle living in Los Angeles and another friend, well, Long Beach. And I decided that, it's time to move, and wasn't married at that time. So I chuckled on into California and decided that I was going to go to Cal State Dominguez. I wanted to get on the quarter system. And my mind still was on business. And the young lady I'm married to now, I've been married to for 47 years to her, my high school sweetheart back then. I sent for her and said, hey, look, we got to make this work. If you want to come, let's make it happen. Next thing I knew, she was on the doorstep. I had to get to work.
You closed the deal. You closed the deal.
Hey, man, I sold myself that far away. I had to go to work now. I'm like, okay, this dude got to go to work now. And I realized that I had to put something into it. And I realized that's when I realized that I got away from my family and was totally independent on my own. I realized, hey, I got to do this. I couldn't run back to my uncle, cousins, go over here. No, you out here in this whole big world by yourself in California. You got to deal with it, Right. And I had to step it up. It wasn't like I could just, oh, don't worry about it. You can get it from over here. Don't worry, you got an uncle over here, cousin over here. And that's a tough thing to deal with. But I guess the next thing of going to the military or something, which I never went to the military. So that's where I think this whole thing and it structured me and gave me more discipline to focus in and say that no matter what, I didn't want to flip hamburgers or fries for the rest of my life. What are you gonna do? And I got a job at the Greyhound bus station. Yeah, I was making money, but I told them put me on graveyard shift, and I would not tell anybody to do that. I worked graveyard for 3 years and went to school during the day.
Wow.
And came home 7 o'clock in the morning. My wife made sure, got myself ready, went to a 10 o'clock class in the morning, came back, went back at night for the night, 7 o'clock, got out the class at about 9 o'clock, 9:30, went straight to work, and worked that graveyard shift, man, until I graduated and put the time in, put the work in. That's why I said I knew I was not about to lose. I was not about to lose. No way.
So let me ask you this question, because you talked about moving from Louisiana to California. Now you're getting ready to start a family. Your wife comes out, and not wife at that particular time.
Right, correct.
Comes out. Was it a deliberate? You mentioned kind of being out there and not having really access to a lot of additional family. I think you said you had like an uncle that was out there.
Right, correct.
But was that like a deliberate decision to say, hey, I'm going to go somewhere where I know I have no choice but to stand on my own? Is that what you were thinking at that time?
I think it was about 75% of that. Because I think more what I wanted, I wasn't in the military, was not in the military. I said most people leave and go to the military, go all over the world, but they set. And I think that I just knew that it was more to it than just staying there in the New Orleans area, Louisiana area. I could have stayed there and most probably made it, but I kept saying, nope, I need to get out and just expose myself to other opportunities and things that's out there. And it was more of that for me than anything else. I got, I had 18 years of living amongst everyone,
Right.
And everybody in my family, immediate family, either went and came back, really hadn't gone out. And that was not what I wanted. I wanted something totally different, because I figured there was something totally different out there. And I was right,
Absolutely. Apparently, right?
And I haven't been back home since. For more than about 2 years. I went back at one time and came back, but you're correct on that. I knew that I wanted to be totally independent and I can make this work on my own, and I was going to figure it out.
You were getting outside your comfort zone.
Correct. And I totally was outside of my comfort zone, because, even when I went out and I stayed with my uncle for about, and I said, man, I can't stay with you. I got to get on my own. I got to put me and my wife in the situation and I got a little 1-bedroom apartment, and we did it from there, and we started out. I went to work and got on a construction. I never worked in a construction job, but that construction job was paying back in that day was paying something like $800 a week. And I made that for about a month. And I had my down payment. I was ready to make a move.
Right. It's good.
I had a car, you know, I had a vehicle. It was paid for, everything else. And the only thing I made a promise to my dad, he said, you can't go out there and stop going to school. And he was right. And I said, I promise you I'll go back to school. And so I never stopped school during that whole course of everything I was doing. Got lined up with school, got into the junior college at Long Beach Community College and finished up that last few courses I had and jumped right in. And the only reason why I went to Cal State Dominguez compared to Long Beach State, Cal State Dominguez was on the quarter system. So I wasn't trying to prove nothing to nobody else but myself. I wanted to just get in and get out. And the quarter system just kept me going. That semester was just too long. I didn't want to deal with that. I wanted to get in the quarter, just keep me focused and keep running, you know, just make it happen. And that's really what happened.
Just keep chopping at the tree.
That's it. Yeah, I don't have time to give me a little break in it. No, I didn't need no break at all. Just keep moving, keep going. So every time I got in, that quarter system just kept me going. So that motivated me. I made the right choice on that for me, you know, in particular.
It's like I'm hearing like just that determination like early and that discipline early because, you know, one, you moved across the country and you were determined to do something different than what you had seen prior.
Correct.
And then you were determined to stay in school, but you also determined to make sure that you're taking care of yourself.
Right.
You're like, no, I'm gonna do what I got to do.
Main things.
Right. I'm gonna do what I gotta do.
Gotta make sure the lights on. Make sure I got
what I gotta do. Make sure things is moving, and I'm gonna be disciplined in that too, because even there, you know, I mean that could have discouraged a lot of people. You know, somebody could move somewhere and things don't work out. Okay, so you go back, or you know, you say, hey, you know, my plan is to go to school and finish, but I got this thing going on here, or man, I got to work, got to pay my rent. I ain't really got time for all that right now. What was going on in your head at this time that kept you just intrinsically motivated?
Because I think I knew at that time that the only way that I can get out of this cycle was for education.
Yeah.
And if I can get that education, I got something under my belt nobody can ever take away from me.
Yeah.
And if I got that education, it'll make me more marketable. And the place that I was at the Greyhound bus station, they were starting to want to groom me to be a manager in that, but I didn't want to take the position at that time. I said, if I take the position, my responsibility is going to get to another level. I just wanted to make sure that the buses were maintained. Let me just do my job. Yeah. And they made me a foreman just on my ship. And that's all I wanted to do, because I can be the foreman on the ship and I can work that. But I didn't want to get into the management side of it, because then it was going to tell me, you know, it took me away from what I knew I was supposed to be doing, which I'm glad I did not get in that side of it. So as you stated before, then Quincy was I think I was in my third year of college, and Quincy was born, man. I realized, hey, wait a minute here, you know, I got to make sure that this kid here, I set a foundation for him. What am I going to do? You know, and how you going to set the game plan for him? So I really knew that for my son, and me and my wife made that decision that if anything we're going to do, it's not about us. And at a young age for us to make a decision, this is about him. You know, we're not trying to get the big house and all the cars. What do we got to do to make sure that he's set in life to where now we got generational, you know, that whatever comes after that, it's all going to work itself out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's start to make the shift. Let's fast forward. Let's get back to the you said it was sugar cane?
Yes, it was sugar cane.
There's a drink. I have one drink. One drink, which is called a caipirinha.
Okay.
Made from sugarcane liquor.
Oh.
The liquor is called cachaça.
Cachaça. Okay.
Were y'all making any cachaça? I'm just curious.
No, man, we're making no. You won't have me on the recording saying this. I don't have no idea what you're talking about right now. I like it.
Yes, sir. But so how'd you get there, and then you know, kind of going back to where we started originally. How did you decide that you were going to leave and getting to the industry? Like, how did you get to the sugarcane plant? And then when you had that conversation with the gentleman who was coming by to collect the premium, what is it that he said, or what were your thoughts that said, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and leave and give that a shot?
When I realized that I can control my own destiny.
Mm.
The company I was working for was telling me when I get a raise, you know, when I can take vacation, you know, and clocking in, clocking out, you know, which I didn't have to clock in, but I had to report, you know, and I had to answer these people. And I got to the point that I said, I can control my own destiny, how much money I want to make, when I want to make it.
Yeah.
And I realized that I could do that, and I was be totally in control. It was the best feeling I think anybody could ever have. I know I had, you know, and then I'm a self-motivator. So I didn't need anybody to push me. And going back to Western Southern Life was the first company that I ever worked for on the life insurance side in Louisiana. And it was a debit agency. And God knows, nobody, 90% of people didn't even know my name. They just knew I was an insurance man. Because
Wow.
And I would attend individuals' funerals. What are you doing here? I'm your insurance guy. What? You show up to the funeral? And when I delivered a check to a lady one time that she didn't even know that the policy was still paying for itself, and I saw the satisfaction that I brought to that family, even though the check was only $10,000, she didn't even have enough to bury her husband. But when I went there and gave her that check that she hadn't paid on that policy for 2 years, and it was still active, and I brought the check, you know, my reputation went to a whole nother level in that entire area in Louisiana. Everybody didn't know me, knew me then. They wanted to talk to me. Well, how she did this? Let me show you how she did this. And the next thing you know, we on free trips to the Bahamas and everything else, and they're giving me, you know, cruises. I'm like, wait a minute, man, this is living, you know. So that's really where it all came from for me. And I realized then that I don't want to do nothing else but sell insurance, you know. And I didn't realize on the P&C side at that side what it took. I didn't realize that until 30 years ago when I came to Vegas. And don't get me wrong, running into Mr. Herman Ross and the rest of the crew out here. That's when,
Yes, sir.
You know, so
yeah,
that's where that came from.
So you were gone. So the when you entered the industry, had you gone from California back to Louisiana for a time? Okay, so you went back to Louisiana. You're working at the sugarcane plant.
No. One part of my story I don't like to tell, but I tell it. I was always about making money. I told you it was going to be business. When I was in doing the sugar industry. Again, could do a 5 pound, 10 pound bag of sugar, whatever, can make it all, you know, produce it all. When I left there, that's when I went to California.
Okay. So you left Louisiana at the sugar plant. Were you already licensed by the time you got to California?
Well, I was licensed when I got back to California. Let me get this right, because I don't have that right. Not California. I came back to Vegas, but when I left California, went back home, I opened up a nightclub.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said I never catch.
This is the nightclub.
Catch you off guard with that. That's why I said.
Okay, right.
Most people don't even know that. That's why I said I don't say. Like, you got me taping this, and put. I'm like, oh, I was trying to stay away from that, you know, because
it's a part of the story. It's a part.
Yeah, you got me, and opened up this club, and man, we was making money handleable fee, because I called the club Valentine's, decked it all out the way it was supposed to be, laid it out, and I did it. It was all about business for me. I was trying to figure out. Everybody wanted to make that fast buck, but I wanted to make that fast buck, get in and get out, you know. And when I realized that was not for me, stayed in that game for about a year. And at the same time, I was doing insurance in Louisiana. All that happened in Louisiana.
Gotcha. Okay.
It was after the sugar cane. And so when that happened, that's when I made the move to Vegas.
Gotcha.
After
okay.
the nightclub, after, you know, doing insurance with Western Southern Life, that's when I came to Vegas.
Got you. So you had the club and the insurance business
happening at the same time. Oh yeah.
Which is something that does happen. It's like I find that there are, you know, like, I mean, we do a lot of entertaining in our business, you know, whining and dining.
You know that.
Right.
You know that.
So you was right there. You'd be like, hey, you know, you can just meet up at my spot, you know.
Man. It was and the only thing I didn't like about that part of it, it was a nightlife.
Yeah.
and I didn't like no life, and that's when I was in the situation. We had two different clubs, over one club, over another one, had another one going, and that's when, if I can be transparent and honest, because you got me on here with this tape.
Yes, sir.
And I was always a believer and trusting in God,
Yes,
and that's when it hit me. God said, yeah, I want you to be successful. And I mean, just like I'm talking to you, but this is not the business you're supposed to be in. And
wow.
it was like a good friend of mine. He's a pastor. He came to me, he said, man, and he came and confirmed it. He said, man, God told me that. He know you smart. And he said, man, you was always one of the ones in the school that always could, pick things up and do it. He said, but this is not what you're supposed to be doing. I told him, man, go on, man. I'll talk to you later. You my boy. We still was tight and still tight today. And I don't know, just one night, man, he hit me and just like I'm talking to you right now, say, hey, you got to get out of that. That ain't what I want you to do. And it was like, oh, wait a minute. I just shut everything down.
Wow.
Everybody thought I was going, man, what you doing? I'm out of this, man. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. He said, I'm gonna give you a business that you're gonna run, that you don't have to run it this way. And when I realized that, I just pulled all strings and realized that I didn't want that for Quincy. I didn't want that, because Quincy was, I don't know, it got to be 12 or 13 at that time, or somewhere in the 14, somewhere in that area. And I realized then, nah, man, this is not cool. And I backed out and changed my whole life on that whole situation right there. And that's when I decided then I got another type of business he wanted me to get. And that's when I came to Vegas and I got my PNC license and just changed the whole trajectory. And I told him I was leaving Louisiana and everything. We packed up, had a house out there, everything. Said it's time to go.
Just like said, hey, just
it.
cold turkey, just cut it.
It's time to go. I did the same thing going to California when I left at the younger age.
But the stakes is bigger now.
Hey, that's it. I just, hey, man, let's do it. My wife said, what you doing? Let's go. She said, let's go.
So you were already, so you had gotten into the life business. I mean, you were doing well. You hit $1 billion roundtable in 6 months. Mm-hmm. Was that a part of, did that happen when you delivered that claim check? Is that what kind of blew it up? Or
oh yeah, that just took me to a whole nother level when I brought that check out,
So you're building a book of business, a successful practice as well in Louisiana. And then you go to Las Vegas and add the PNC. What drove adding the PNC? I mean, one, okay, leaving Louisiana because, hey, we're going to get away from the nightlife aspect. But why not just keep doing life? And
I think from a standpoint, as I got back when you asked me the first time, why did I leave? Again, I got too familiar, with my surroundings, with everything, with my relatives, peoples, individuals, everything, man. And I just want to get somewhere where I can just get myself and just stay focused on where I want to be at, where I want to go. I knew too many people. I had relationships all over the place, and I was very well known. People communicating, like you said, I could sell it, but I just kept saying, no, I need to get out of this familiarity where I'm at, and knowing that this was not key, because I was always at the early stages. I was always trying to help someone. And what you had to realize in my situation, a lot of times at that time, I didn't realize even the people you're trying to help, they didn't know what help they really need. And sometimes they take your kindness and utilize it for the wrong reason. And I'm not realizing by the time you spend too much time doing this. And so to guard myself from all of that, like insulate myself from that, let me just get out of it. Let me just move on, and I can take care. I know I can take care of me.
Yeah, right.
I never had a problem with taking care of me.
Yeah, I got it. So say, hey, look, let me get focused.
That's it.
I need to resume my focus on what I'm building. So you move to Vegas. You add PNC. I mean, and this is now I need to hear this from me, because I try to figure out why I got my property casualty license sometimes. So I need to hear from you.
Oh my God!
Why did you get that property casualty license?
When I came here, the funniest thing was I wanted to be that brokerage. So I went and took this test and studied for this test. Oh my God, it's like being an attorney for the what is that? The Series 6.
Okay, yeah, for a securities license.
I went in Arizona. got in a room for about 2 days and just studied. Didn't know. I told my wife, don't call me unless somebody die. Leave me alone. So I called in the afternoon, took the test, passed the test, got to Series 6, came back, and I said, life insurance, man, out here. The only thing about life insurance out here, I didn't have all those relationships built yet that I had in Louisiana. So it was tough trying to get Mass Mutual. Yeah, I was with Mass Mutual, and I sold my first $1 million policy to an attorney and made some serious money on that. And they asked me, Aubrey, can you do my car? Like, no. Then they asked, Aubrey, I got my business. Wait a minute. So I'm like, I'm leaving money on the table. And most people say they drive themselves to one area, but I always felt like I can, multitask.
Right.
And I felt like, let me get this. So I went on and took the test. And when I took the test, it just put me in a position where I was able to diversify. I wouldn't tell anybody else to do that in that situation right now, because I realized what I was doing. I was not doing what the norm was. Everybody said you should stay focused in this. And
I get it. Right.
I wasn't a normal person. I wasn't a normal one to just drive it this way. Well, man, what are you doing? I'm gonna build it up from here, and I did it from there. And now that I think about it, I'm like, whoo, I don't know what drove me to do it that way, but I did.
And a securities license on top of that.
Yeah. It was. Now that I think about it, you got me thinking about stuff now. If I thought about it, I think I'd have flipped, man. But see, now I'm glad I didn't think about it. Glad I just did it,
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's scary. That's a little scary now.
So you get the PNC license, obviously conversation say, hey, look, now I can add value. When did the idea for Branch Hernandez come about, or when did you start to say, okay, I'm gonna actually build a firm here. I'm gonna open up a firm.
That went to like 3 different phases, almost, maybe 2, because when I first got here into Vegas, there was a company that had a Canyon Renter on, and they had me doing some work for them, and they had like about 9 offices in Nevada here. So I asked him, I said, can I put an insurance agency inside of your store and let me grab your people? So he let me open my insurance agency inside his store, and then he started feeding me off of that. So the next couple of guys, they were working for Levitt Insurance. That's one of these big insurance agencies out here, Levitt Insurance. They're across the country, but they're mostly out here on the West Coast. And they had franchises. So they had 2 partners that would have them, and there was 2 white guys, and say, Aubrey, we'd like to bring you in with us. And I'm like, okay, this go. And I wanted the knowledge on how to get that done. And I think, I went with them for a while, and then they decided that they had to, they was going to sell the agency. I'm, nah, man, you sell the agency. I'm not going. They said, well, you got to go on your own. So they sold it. And I took my book of business, went on. And I think that's when I connected the dots, start talking to Herman Ross, me and him started having conversations because he had his agency. So I was able to see what he was doing to do it independently, because I was doing more personal lines and life insurance. So to get that independent insurance agency, I'm like, wow, man, I like what he's doing. So he was the only one in the state of Nevada that I knew of that was doing independent. So I'm like, man, I don't have enough people there. So I won a trip to the Bahamas with Safeco Insurance, and I went on that ship, and it was 1 or 2 more African Americans on there. Another brother by the name of Roosevelt Haywood out of Gary, Indiana. That's how we all got. And so he was the only one on there at the same time. And he said, man, I said, look, man, I need some help. I'm trying to get my own agency together, but I really don't know what to do. And he said, look, man, I'm gonna help you out. He said, once you come to Chicago, he said, I'm gonna make it work for you. I said, okay. I said, well, I went back, got back home, told my wife, I said, look, we got a limited amount of funds, but I want to learn how to do this and do it from the ground. I want to, and I'm the type that I'm more visual. If I see it, so what he did was, I got it, man, picked me up at the airport, took me to Milk Moses in Chicago, not Gerald Tillman, another Gerald that had it, Matt, took me to all these African-American insurance agencies. And when I saw it with my own eyes, I'm like, wait a minute, man, this is no brainer. I'm gonna make this work. So, brothers opened their doors to me. and let me see. And it was history after that. Because once I touched back on the ground, I had no doubt in my mind I was gonna make it. I said they could make it. They did it here, and they told me how. And anytime I needed information, so that's why I guess me and Haywood are still friends 20-something years later, man. We still close friends right now, and that's how we became to formulate this thing with Gerald Tillman when everything came up. That's how this relationship got built, you know. So that's where it all came from, right?
Wow, that's and you know, you mentioned Herman Ross. We got a conversation. We had a conversation as well, and I mean, that was I didn't realize that he was helping you at that time as well. But I can see how that would have worked because he had come from kind of the corporate side of insurance and branched out and did his thing as well, and is still doing his thing.
Right,
you know,
correct.
on a big level. So, you know, so you went out to Chicago and you were able to see in real time, you know, these successful Black agency owners making it happen, which is, I'm gonna tell you what's really special about that is that not only that you went there, but they were like willing to open up.
They open up, man. They open up.
Let us show you how it goes, and that's powerful.
Man, wow. It was just an awesome thing for me, the young man not knowing, and I was genuine. They know I was serious about it, and just being genuine to them. I was straight up honest. I don't, you know, that's who I am. I'm just gonna, you know, this is who I am. I can't change that, and I don't want to change that. And I think that's what my gift is, to just be as unique as I can with people and let them know, hey man, this is what it is, you know. And I don't have no problem with telling you I don't know something, but I can get you the answer. Yeah. And when I got back from Chicago, and the guy, again, this minister, this friend of mine, this spiritual leader, he kept saying, I said, man, I'm trying to make that money. And he said something. He said, man, what you trying to go to New York for? He said, man, all the money you trying to get is right there on the strip. I said, wait a minute. He said, you trying to get to New York, all the money you need is on the strip. And when it hit me, that's when I realized, wait a minute, that NAACP was doing some work around here with trying to get MGM and these mega companies to do business with people of color. And I'm like, wait a minute, it's no professional services on the strip. We are the first agency to do business on the strip from a professional insurance side of it. And Terry Laney, today, I'll never forget this guy, man, the chairman of MGM at the time. I went to him and told him he was here doing his number, and I said, I gotta get him one-on-one by myself. So he went to Mississippi to the property. I flew to Mississippi. So when I flew to Mississippi, he saw me in Mississippi. What are you doing here? I say, man, I need to talk to you. I want to do business. And Tony Gladney, is a brother that, man, me and him tight, just good brother. Tony Gladney told me at that time, Aubrey, we're gonna get you an opportunity. And the co-chair, Tony Gladney, the other lady came in and said, Aubrey, we're gonna let you do some business with us. We're gonna make sure. And I've been a partner with them now for 20 plus years. And we were the first person of color to do business on strip. And that's my partner, Joe, came in. That's when Joe was in an agency in California. So when we started doing projects out here, Joe came out and I told Joe, why don't you come on and work for me? And that's how Branch Hernandez got formulated. When Joe moved from California with the agency, he had been in out there with about 20 years. And he came here, and that's how me and Joe connected the dots, and that's how he became my partner.
And at this point, the agency is still relatively new.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because when they realized what was going on, we brought him in and going through the relationships that I had, and I realized Joe was a technical genius at what he did. So that complimented me on where I was, because I was a salesperson, you know.
Yeah, the right and the left brain working together.
Yeah, you know, bottom line is I had the license and everything else, but I didn't want to go through all the details. Joe will take care of all the details. All right,
oh,
Joe.
Man. You get to my heart.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to know the detail, man. Come on, now wait a minute. I understand the process, but I didn't want to read all this and go. Joe will read. Joe will stay there 2 hours and read. Man, I ain't reading all this. Man. So that's where his gift was, and that's what the gift is. And I realized what his gift was, And when we teamed up together, we did the largest privately funded project on the strip. When they did City Center at that time was, I don't know, about $4 billion, $8 billion or whatever it was. And we partnered with MGM on that with that particular project on the strip. And man, it was awesome. I mean, and now that I'm speaking to you, I just didn't realize what all we were doing with them at that time, because you're so deep in, because I never forget, I can make you laugh about it now. I'll never forget, I'm so used to doing this $1 million. So MGM took us in the room, 20 years ago, I know 18 years ago. And we're sitting up there and you're telling us, yeah, we're going to have you guys work on this project. Man, we used to $100,000, $1 million, $2 million. They said, yeah, this is going to be a 450 million. I'm like, whoa, I was trying not to swear because I didn't understand the numbers of the volume that they had at that time. Because me and Joe looked at each other like, oh my God, wait a minute, and
Wow.
And they put us in with a partnership. And what they did was, and I appreciate them doing that, they said, no matter what, Aubrey, we're not giving this opportunity to fail. We got to make sure you succeed. And they did. They most certainly did. Like I said, everything that I could have asked of them to do with us, for us, they did it, man. And it helped us, propel us to working opportunities with Caesars, with stations, other casinos, and I never forget the day that the guy called us one day from Caesars Entertainment, and he was in Alabama, and he said, Aubrey, I need you to work this project for me, and I said, why you need us, man? There's no diversity. And I never forget this white guy. He said, Aubrey, I didn't call you for no diversity. I just heard y'all can do the job. And I want somebody that can get the job done. I heard y'all the best at what you do. Man, that lets me know then it wasn't about the numbers or diversity. I got to meet my goal or whatever. It was a good feeling. It was a real good feeling at that time to realize that it wasn't about all that.
And that's really the way that it should be.
It should be that way. It should be.
That's the way it should be. It's like you should be judged based on your performance.
Bottom line.
Now you might have to be made to give an opportunity.
Right. Come on now. That's right. What I'm saying.
But once you go in there, you judge on your performance. Absolutely. Now, I'd love for you to, because that right there, I mean, that's a game changer, right? That initial piece.
Oh man, it was great.
But over the course, and obviously we're not going to be able to encapsulate your entire career in this time because it's just too massive. But you began at a certain point to evolve beyond just the commercial projects, just commercial insurance projects. Are you still doing life at this time, or had you kind of put life on the shelf and said, hey, I'm doing these commercial contracts? I'm
doing life, but I'm doing it at a level, again, that I like doing. I'm doing more group. I'm doing life more group. It's not individual. I'll just send it to somebody, give it to one of the people in the office or tell them to do it. Even auto people, hey, Aubrey, got auto. I got a call yesterday without calling a name out. One of these high executive, hey, Aubrey, I got some fine arts I need to get done. Who you got? And when your reputation is there, people just call you, and it ain't about the money. It's about referring them and making sure that, hey, Aubrey, I'm calling you because I know you're going to lead me in the right path. I'm not going to make a dime off of this, but I gave them the information they needed, tell them where to go. But I know whenever they talk to somebody else, they're going to send that person to me. Hey, man, go talk to Aubrey, man. That's my guy. He's going to make sure he takes care of you. So when you say catapult, I just think right now, for me, I do more of what I want to do. The guys laugh at me because I say I do more deep fishing now. It takes a little time to pull in what you got to pull in now. I'm not just out there trying to grab a catfish and just eat right now. I got food on the table. I'm trying to get something I can put on the wall. So
that's right.
Certain things I don't want to do. I'm just simple as that. I don't want to do it. If it's not going to be to make me a certain amount of revenue with my time and my expertise, I'm not going to put it into that. I'll give it to Quincy, tell him, give it to somebody that's coming up within my shoe. Because back in the day, I used to grab everything that was out there, man, just pull it in and keep the lights on. But I don't have to work at that capacity anymore. So if that group is a group, I love life insurance. I love dealing with the health side of it. I love dealing with the vision, the dental, but it's more on a group capacity that I want to deal with it on. And if I see the group, you got to put some time into that. That just don't come overnight. You got to Put some work in that. It might take you 2 years, might take you a year and a half, whatever. You know, some of it happen overnight. It can happen overnight, but at the end of the day, it's like a seed going in the ground. It takes time to germinate. The relationship got to be built. And once a person can trust you, man, and a couple of deals I done got just behind trust, man. Hey, man, I trust you.
Man, that's the way you want, and that's the way you want to build your business.
Bottom line. Bottom line, because the guy told him to say this. I know he's not to get up, but the guy told him one time for who he was with. He was in Marsh, and another guy with Harris called him. Somebody in my office did something they shouldn't have done. They made the phone call, and they called him. He called him. They say, "Man, yeah, I work with Aubrey. This blah blah blah." He told the guy this. So the guy told him, "All right." Guy with Harris say, "You want to deal with him no more?" So he calls the guy from Marsh. And he said, "Hey, man, I don't think I want to do business with Aubrey no more. Aubrey did blah, blah, blah." And he said, "Wait a minute, hold on." The guy from Marsh told him, "Who said that?" He said, "The guy in Aubrey's office." He said, "Did you talk to Aubrey?" I said, "That don't sound like him." He just told him point blank, "Did you talk to Aubrey?" And I made the call to the guy, not knowing he had talked to him. So I called him and I said, "Man, how you doing? What's going on? I heard from you." He said, "Aubrey, I wasn't going to call you, and I'm glad you called me, because I'm going to tell you what happened." Blah. I said, "No, man, that's not the way I roll. I don't roll like that." I said, "I never would have did that." He said, "Now that you're telling me that, I'm going to correct that in my shop over here." But I wasn't aware of it. And he said, "I'm glad you called me." He said, "Because the guy from Marshall I talked to said, that don't sound like Aubrey." He said, "Nah, I'm sorry. That just don't sound like Aubrey. I've been knowing Aubrey a while. I ain't never heard him roll like that." So that lets you know your reputation is out there, man. That's all you got, you know.
Absolutely.
And that's it. That's all you got.
Listen, I'm getting all the gems, from this conversation. I'm just determination, discipline, faith, work ethic, transparency, focus, prioritizing. Like
you listen well. You listen well.
It's all running. It's all running down. I'm just like, You've
been doing this for a while. Okay, I got
it. but no, this is really powerful information. So going through the course of now, you have the firm. You and Joe, you guys are part of the community. Shoot, you become a part of the community there now.
Correct.
You're well known in that area. When do you start to say, okay, now it's time for us to continue to expand? We're going to add in the group benefits. We're going to, bring in, start expanding the staff. We're going to get ready to, eventually, figure out, hey, what's the strategy to transition, some of this business with perpetuation? Take me through that step. Like, how do those things start to happen over the course of the year?
And there's one thing about, I didn't see Quincy say that I bamboozled him to get into his business.
Okay.
And which I didn't. I didn't bamboozle. I just seen that he realized he was working with someone else and realized that, wait a minute, my dad over here doing something that's giving opportunity. Well, I'm going to give it a shot. You're going to work for Enterprise Rent a Car and all the rest of them. Hey, man, just come in. And he realized what I love about Quincy, he was a very good student. And I never wanted to lose my relationship as a father with Quincy, but at the end of the day, don't lose my relationship as a business person. Mm-hmm. And knew how to balance that. And Quincy has some of his mom's good traits as far as being patient and being able to sit back and being very meticulous and strategic on how you want to do it. I was the one that, let's just do it. I'm a salesperson, don't get it, but make sure you put everything in place. You come in my office, you might find, just don't touch my office. I got this, but Quincy got everything lined up. And I think it was much easier for me to, even my partner, Joe, hey man, Quincy's the next person up. We got to make sure this is right. Got a grandson that's in college right now. I hope that he does want to run, but I don't know if he does or not.
He was in the office, though. He was in the office.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I say I'm trying to figure this out. He's gonna do. That's gonna be a decision Quincy gonna have to make. As he continue to move forward, because Quincy, I don't see Quincy moving or going away within the next 10 years or so. Or maybe 15 or something like that. So I'm thinking this, the word for retirement for me, I don't know what that means. I've never seen that in the Bible. I've always seen rest. You're supposed to rest. So I love doing what I do. I sort of read rest a lot, but I never seen retire. So
Yes.
my thing is that if we can continue to build this onto something, and we knew that it wasn't going to just happen in Vegas, because at the end of the day, a person of color, we had certain opportunity here, but we knew in places like New Orleans, Chicago, the cities, predominantly, not going to say predominantly black, but in the major part of the metropolitan area cities. And we had to build that. So we started building the relationships when we opened up the other office in DC,
Yes.
and I went to DC last week. I go to DC like once a month or twice a month, and I love it, So we have built these, it took us 3 to 5 years to build those, and that was even a part of MGM when they built that first casino in DC.
Yeah.
And we went there and we were there. So we started building a relationship. Next thing you know, we start to expand and building relationships in the airport business. And the airports are everywhere. I love that,
Right.
So we start to diversify and know that, hey, wait a minute, we got to be strategic in what we're doing. We know we can't do everything, but what we do, let's do that our best. And so we start zoning in on exactly what we can bring to the table, especially with a person of color, and what'll be of value even 20 years down the road, and that we could take it and make it, work for us and win. So as far as being able to build this thing, I think we still got some ways to go with what we're trying to do and what he wants to do. And that's where I'm at with that. But I don't see no more than bigger and better things on the horizon for what we're doing right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I got a few more questions for you. Just as we start to kind of turn the corner to today. You mentioned rest. Bible doesn't mention retired, mention rest.
Right. You don't miss nothing, man.
What keeps you motivated now? I mean, after everything you've done, I mean, you can do whatever you want. You can go and be wherever you want at any time. I mean, let's keep it real, What keeps you motivated now to continue this journey, continue this mission, keep building?
Man, my uncle, he's I think he's close to 80 right now. And he told me, because he know me as a little boy, he said, man, I'm so proud of what you've done. He said, you don't realize what you have done or what you have accomplished. Put it back there. And I guess I don't. And I guess, Rod, until it hits me, it hasn't hit me. Because most people tell me, like you tell me, oh my God, man, you did this. I really feel like I haven't did anything yet. I really believe that I got still something to do. And the motivation is mind, body, soul, and spirit. And I believe if you can keep that in check, I try my best to go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week, try my best to keep some balance on what you're eating. And grandkids are there now, trying to balance it with them, with the wife, and keeping sanity with your marriage. So at the end of the day, she know I like to work. Let me do my thing. We're going to do our thing. And at the same time, knowing when to stop and say, take a break. I don't need a week or two. That's why I told you that trip I was on, that was long for me. If I can get a 3-day break in there, a 2.5-day break, man, that's a vacation for me. I don't have to do all this and that, but because that motivates me. And that's where my joy, that's my adrenaline flows on, accomplishing to the next step and just saying move on. Because we can get a big deal a day, but I'm going to say rah, rah, rah. But the next day or the 2 days later, I'm going to say, all right, what do we got to do to keep this now? What do we got to do to get to the next one?
That's right.
And that's my motivation, is bringing the business to the table. Like I told Quincy, we can have all the best help in the world in here to get the job done. But at the end of the day, we sell insurance.
Still getting out that comfort zone.
But bottom line, we sell insurance. Some doors slammed in your face. Some people gonna say they don't want to talk to you right now. They don't want to deal with you. Blah blah blah. I understand that, and here and there, that's across the board. And I guess I've had so many doors slam in my face now that it doesn't bother me now, because it's business. It ain't personal. I don't take it personally no more. And some people I don't even want to deal with. So just like they don't want to deal with me, certain people I really don't want to deal with. They call me here today, Aubrey. What about the person? Don't call that person. Don't even call them. Don't even call them. They don't call up. Don't even call them. Don't call this person. So, and it's good to be in that position where you can pick your poison of who you want to deal with. And that motivation for me, I don't know, it gets me up every morning, man. I love this business that we in. This insurance business is something I think we've been robbed of for years because we didn't know. And every time the white guys would tell me, man, I'm working hard. Working hard doing what?
Right.
You know, doing what? Because if you call this work, I don't know, man. I know it's work now, but I don't call it working hard, man. It's just working smart.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I love that. So that actually leads me into another question. You've been in this industry almost 40 years now. How do you feel like how do you feel having a license, deciding to jump into this industry has helped shape you as a person?
Wait, ask that question again. I missed that.
How do you feel getting your license and entering this industry has helped to shape you as a person?
Ooh, man. I think getting my license in this industry, I think it has shaped me tremendously because, again, going back to what I told you, that first check I delivered, when I realized that I was helping people and I was having an effect on their lives, on their wealth, their well-being, and some of us do it by teaching, mentoring kids, basketball, football, and I realized that from a adult standpoint, when I would have a conversation with a person, and the closer that I had on all my insurance deal was that a guy's moving, man, I ain't leaving, my money to this woman. Hold up, man, wait a minute. This lady got 3 kids for you. And you mean to tell me you don't want to see them better off than what they are right now? You're out here spending this kind of money. Let me just show you something. You do this as policy. As ticked off as it may be, he realized that that was the right thing to do. And then if you would talk to the female, same thing, I'll tell her, wait a minute, you need to get him to sign this. He needs to sign this because if something happened to him, what is going to happen to you and these kids? Wait a minute, whoa. And realize it wasn't about the dress or the shoes or the car note. Wait a minute, man, let's take these $10, let's take these $15, $20 to make this happen. When I realized I was not just selling insurance, I was educating people, showing them how to create some wealth for themselves, because when they took the policy, and I'll take this, for instance, right now, the guy told me one time, he said, and like I said, my guy gave it to me early on in the game. He said, my daughter, I had a policy for her, Aubrey, and when she graduated, I gave her a policy. I looked at him like he was crazy. Give her a policy? We didn't give her a policy. What she want a policy? Not realizing that he had $15,000 built up in that
all
policy.
That cash value that's sitting
all
there.
that cash value. But we didn't know that. I didn't understand that. And when we start to be able to explain that and understand that, and even from a standpoint of auto insurance, well, I don't want medical coverage. I don't want this coverage. Okay, but if you get in a wreck, you got this situation going on, even with your home, even with your business. No, I don't want to get this coverage right now. Guy called me just the other day, come back, waited, didn't get the coverage. What happened? The place burnt out. He had no coverage on it. You understand? I'm like, well, that didn't help you at all. I knew it was an older building, but you could have got some money out of this. You could have played the game, but didn't understand that. And that's why I said it's more about education for me than anything else. And I think that has molded me to be able to know that there are people out there, because we had a bad reputation. I said we, I don't say we. Insurance people had a bad reputation. Yeah. All they was thinking about was money and getting paid. And oh my God, the insurance guy coming. Oh my God, let me run from him. And when people can perceive you to know that you're a genuine and a professional at what you do, just like they're professional in whatever profession they're doing, and realize that insurance is something that you have, need, should have, and as long as they explain to you right, I think it has molded me just to be one of those safe persons to try to let people know that you want to be as transparent and honest with them as possible. And that's what I try to do. And it just kept me grounded and focused. And I'm hoping that anybody out there will say that, hey, man, I don't like what he said, but I got to respect what he told me because it was the truth, and a lot of times it comes out that way, because even if you don't do business with me, I'm going to just tell you like it is. Hey, man, this is what it is. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Maybe 2 years down the road, something, I want to do business with you. So that's where I'm at with that.
Seed was planted.
Yeah.
That's
it.
That's it. You mentioned, a few minutes ago that you still kind of feel like you haven't really accomplished it. I don't see how, but you haven't really accomplished it. that much yet. Normally I ask, at this point in your career, like what's your dream now? But what I want to ask you, Mr. Branch, is what would you have to accomplish for you to feel like, yeah, I did it. I did what I wanted to do.
I was hoping you don't ask me that because I still don't have the answer. I don't know. I don't know if that's the. I don't know if I could. I don't even know how I could even answer that, man. I got my mom is 88 years old, and went back to see her. And my mom is still. My mom has. I told my son. I said, all these people around here talking about they're in business. I said, boy, your grandmother's the best business person, the best example we could have. My mom got 2 refrigerators, and back in Louisiana they call them huckabuck, but they're really freeze cups. Still sells them today. Everybody comes to the door. Hey, mommy, give me 3 of them. Boom. My mom still got a business.
Icy cups.
Ice, thank you.
Yes.
A business. She run out of a house, been running this business now for 60 years, and she 88 now. And I'm like, this woman has not lost her clientele because the children grow up, the next children come in, everybody know her. And I told him, I said, man, she ain't went to no college, ain't got no licenses to do certain type of thing. She just ran it and made sure she gave us gas money when we needed out of it, gave us lunch money when we needed out of it, anything that we need to do. And she did it. And she been doing all life. That's why I said, I don't know when it's going to say that I've accomplished it, right? Because at the end of the day, man, you love doing what you're doing. Yeah. I don't ever want to get to the point that I done got relaxed and complacent that, hey, I got it done. As long as God can keep me with this a reasonable amount of good health that I have and I can make it happen, I'm going to deal with it. And I guess one day be able to sit back because you making me realize some things now because you're asking me questions that I never had to really answer. And I maybe, go crossing my head from time to time and I'll roll with it. But otherwise, nah, man, it never crossed my mind about where it is that I'm at to say that I have accomplished that. I've set that pinnacle peak. And
right,
man,
right.
I don't even know what that is. I don't know.
That's amazing. I think that's I mean, actually hearing you say that, I think that's really a part of the reason why you have done what you have done. And while it continues to grow, not only in your own activity, but through what Quincy is continuing to build as well. Because I'll just tell you, just father to father, you've done an amazing job. Quincy is an amazing man.
Thank you.
I look at the two of you and I'm like, man, if I can get my sons to, not saying they got to go in the same industry,
right.
That kind of man, you know what I mean? It's just, I just want to, just give you props and kudos for that, just as a father.
Trust me, when you said that just now, everything with Quincy for me, not knowing it was going to be like this, but it was intentional. And I said that was one thing me and my wife did right. It wasn't about us. It was about him. And because we put him first, he's our only child. Bottom line is, we meant that Quincy was going to be successful one way or the other. We meant that. We didn't care what the deal was. We second class to him. We had to make sure that he make it. Because we know if he made it, as I go back to what I said earlier, it's a done deal. And I wanted to make sure that I have a relationship with my son. Me and my dad, we had a relationship, but I didn't have to start having a true relationship with my dad until I was in my second year of college or something, because he was always just being tough. And I understood that. He just wanted me to get it right, and not communicating. And then when I really started communicating, that's when he passed.
Wow.
And I had to step up and be the man over everything, my mom, everything, the whole 9 yards. So that was scary, So that's why you said about me realizing that I had to. When I realized he wasn't there, we had to make this happen. My mom still was a young lady that, coming up, and God knows, 88 plus right now. She's still doing her thing, and we made sure that as a family, we got to take care of her, man. We got to make sure she's straight, never got married again or nothing, So we had to make, my mom was only 50 years old at that time.
Wow.
And bottom line, 35 years later, whatever, 38 years later, boom, she's still, here and kicking, So yeah. We had to make sure, and I made sure that with Quincy, I wanted to be able to have a communication with him more than anything else, that we can relate, that we can talk to each other, even if we're bad, good, and different. Hey, man, I don't like it, you don't like it, okay, let's figure it out from here. And I think my relationship with that, and as he's gotten older, I understand things flip, things change and everything. And I think I was able to adapt to change much better than what, maybe some other people did. And even with that change of Quincy taking over and running everything, man, that was a change to step back and just give him the reign, and that was my pastor told me that, hey man, that's the guy right there, so you got him. You need to step back and get out the way. And when I realized that, I stepped back and realized, hey man, that was tough, but it's the best move I could ever made. If I'd have known that earlier, I might have had some hair on my head if I'd have did that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, I got one more question for you.
You're starting to sound like a preacher. You told me that 3 times ago.
I know, right? I know, right? This is the last. It's the last one. Last one. But what would you tell someone? Let's say someone's listening to this. They're not licensed. Why should they get a license? Why should they join this industry? If they're thinking about it, they're thinking about joining. Why should they go ahead and join?
I think I would tell that person, if you love dealing with people, and I know most people say, yeah, they can deal along with people, but if you love dealing with people and want to have the independence to be able to do your own thing, it's almost like them doing Uber. Do your own thing and be able to control your own destiny and can be disciplined and staying focused. This would be a fantastic industry for you to get into, and knowing that if you can zone in on a particular expertise, I don't want to tell them do it my way, get all the licenses at one time, figure it out. May it be life and health, may it be P&C, may it be actuarial, whatever, you want to get into, because you can still take that, and then as you grow, you can open up your own agency, to do your own consulting or whatever. But I think that with all the tools that are out there right now, it should not be a problem for them to succeed now, especially if you're a person of color, and with the tools that's out there now for people like you that's coming up, that being able to help them to get to next, just like we got the gentleman's insurance and things like that. Now we didn't have any of that. When Gerald started that organization, that was the reason why he started it. Hey man, we don't have anywhere to go. Who we talk to? And that's one thing I can say from a NIA standpoint, the best thing that could ever happen to me, I can pick up the phone and call from East Coast to West Coast, Midwest, South, wherever, and pick up the phone and say, hey man, hey Aubrey, what's up? What you got? Let's talk about it. Let's figure what you got. And that's a beautiful thing, to be able to pick that phone up across the country and talk to people like you, everybody that we can connect the dots with and make it work. So that would be my thing, because it's a beautiful business. It's a great business, a fantastic business. It could be wealth driven for you and your family. You can pass it on, even like they do with state farms and all the other, agencies that they got on that, but they're not independent like we are, They're captive. But when you start talking about an independent agency, that's a whole different ball game. It's a business. I mean, it's straight up business you got to run, and it ain't nobody there teaching you a manual that you're gonna just go by. You got to, hey, it's a lot of days you might not get paid, and you got to wait, and you don't get yours till the end, and you got to make sure everybody else is taken care of. So it's a good way to start off with your own business if you want to do that. I don't care if it's a grass cutting business, a car wash business, or whatever, but we took insurance, and I love it, man.
It's gonna build character. It's gonna teach you how to play the long game.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna get to control your destiny, and you're gonna meet some great people along the way.
I don't mind. I meet some great people. Like I'm meeting you, all right? Because you're the only reason why I'm on here right now. You and Quincy, all right?
Man, listen, Mr. Branch, I thank you so much for taking the time to come on. How can somebody listening to this? How can they get in contact with you? Like, is LinkedIn, just the website? What's the best way for someone to reach out?
They're in trouble with me, man, because that's what Quincy said my biggest problem. When it comes down to social media, I ain't got no Facebook, I ain't got no LinkedIn, I ain't got no chat with no Snapchat. I told you before, I just keep it simple.
You have a LinkedIn. I don't know if you running it, but
I ain't got time. I don't even like doing what you got me doing. So you know I don't want to. You can email me or phone call. That's it. I just keep it simple. I do have a LinkedIn. I'm pretty sure I got it. My assistant will probably got me LinkedIn.
Yeah. So it's not gonna get. It might not get to you right away on LinkedIn. No.
I will get back to you now. It's one thing I promise you. I will answer my emails. Just email me. I tell you, I'm not no golfer. I don't do this. I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I just like working my work and doing what I do, man.
We'll keep it simple. What's the number to the office over there at Branch Benefit?
See that? You got me looking for a card. Yeah, 702-646-2082.
You heard it, and we'll have it on the screen. We'll have it inside the information.
Good.
But once again, Mr. Branch, I mean, you are a jewel in a shining light in this industry. You're an inspiration to myself, many others, and thank you for everything that you have done, are doing, will do, for your example. And I appreciate the time that you spent today on this platform.
Man, I got much love for you. I tell you, nobody ever give me like you got me an hour and 25 minutes. You know,
hour and 20. Listen, we went overtime on this one because I know I told you 45 minutes. We went.
Yeah, you set a record. You done broke a record on this one.
We got the exclusive.
You're right. All right.
And listen, but with all this wisdom that came out of this conversation, I hope you heard something that not only moved you, inspired you, motivated you, educated you, but also something that made you think to yourself, maybe you should get a license. Until the next time. Peace.
Amen. All right, my brother, stay blessed.